Hey church family, hope you're doing okay and you enjoyed your break. Hope it was a restful time. We are back in Romans chapter 8 this week at groups. Just a quick recap on where we were. I mean, even in the first verse of our passage this week, Paul says, doesn't he, what then shall we say to these things? He's pointing backwards, I think, to kind of what he's immediately said, but it's important that we catch up with everything else he said so we know where he moves on to. And I thought it would be good just for us to think quickly about the fact that we're closing up a section now. That's going to change Paul's tone because we started the section back in chapter 5 and he's bringing this section to a close in chapter 8. And do you remember the themes that he introduced to us in chapter 5 that we'll see popping up again today? We are justified by faith. That was a theme that popped up in chapter 5. Also, the idea of suffering popped up in chapter 5. Also, the idea of God's love popped up in chapter 5. And all of those ideas are coming to a head in today's passage. The big thing that Paul's been doing through this section is growing our confidence in the gospel. That gospel that produces the obedience of faith amongst the nations that Paul wants his readers to get behind. And so, of course, we want to be confident in a gospel in order to be able to get behind it. Paul's shown us, hasn't he, that we have a hope in chapter 5 that will not put us to shame. He's shown us that we've moved from an old humanity in Adam into a new humanity. He's given us confidence in the fact that that doesn't mean that because we're in the new humanity and we're under grace now, we can start sinning. This isn't a gospel that creates chaos. It's a gospel that creates growth and sanctification in the believer, leading to eternal life. We died with Christ and now we've been raised with him. So this is a gospel that has saved us. We're justified in God's sight, but it's also set us free from the power of sin to start serving God as we should. And you'll remember as well that Paul helped us to be confident even in the struggle we have now, because it's showing that actually we are believers and we love the law of God with our inner being. We do not do the things we really want to do, and that causes us to cry out, "Wretched man that I am, who will deliver me from this body of death?" So even kind of setbacks are actually propelling us forward. We saw that last week as well, and well, not last week, we had a break, didn't we? But we saw that last time we were in Romans, this idea of suffering in the Christian life that might feel like a setback. Actually, remember those different groans pulling us forward, helping us long for the beautiful glory that we await. And do you remember the Spirit groaning, saying, "Get that Christian home, get that Christian home." And Paul ended with a wonderful flourish of kind of in the invincibility really of the Christian in verse 30, which was the last verse we were in before we get into this section. And that idea, kind of all those ideas that have been building up, that this is a gospel we can boast in, this is a gospel that we can be confident in, certainty, because we're justified by faith in Jesus. All of that stuff really comes to a head here in the most incredible flourish. So enjoy your time this week in Romans chapter 8.